Okay, let's start. The first thing you need to do, you need to configure your LDAP servers. For that, let's go to Device, Server Profiles, LDAP. And here we will specify our AD servers. Let's say server 1 ad1.test.lab port. If you use LDAP, use default one 389. If you use LDAP-S, which is more preferable, use 636. That is a secured connection, encrypted. So the second one is serv2 ad2.test.lab and also port 636. Now, next step, configure device server type. It's an Active Directory in our case. Base DN. That information you should get from your sysadmin. So, but in our case, let's use this one. So ad1, dc, just ad, dc, test, dc equal lab. Just here. It should be just from here. Test.lab, I think. Yeah, this. Let's not use admin for the example because the user which will have access to LDAP can be administrator, but for the security purpose it's not a good idea to do. I would recommend you to create another one account which will have a limited access. So let's say only LDAP access to the system. And let's do this way. So LDAP, let's say PA LDAP at test.lab. Password, just for simplicity. Okay, configure. Okay, when we configured LDAP servers, the next step we need to do is we need to configure authentication profile. So let's say AD users, and here we choose LDAP type, and as a server profile we use server profile which we have created, and go to tab advanced and specify all. There's nothing else to see here. Okay, done. Next step, you need to go to your security zones, and on the zone from which users coming you need to enable user identification. So that has to be enabled on all interfaces, like all user facing interfaces. Okay, done. Next step, you need to install user ID agent. You can get this agent from paloaltonetworks.com. Pretty simple installation process. The only thing you need to do after installation is just to do auto discovery or just to specify your Active Directory servers there, and then you will need to check that under monitoring that there is a mapping between user and IP address. Also, keep in mind that communication between Palo Alto Firewall Management Interface and the server is happening on port TCP 5007, and this has to be configured or on the firewall user identification. And of course, this traffic should be allowed, not blocked anywhere. So let's say UA1 host ad1 dot. By the way, it is not recommended to install user ID agent on the domain controllers. You can install it on any server, including the main controllers. But because the main controller is really a critical element, and you might need to restart it, which is not always possible. So it's not recommended to install user ID agent on those dedicated servers. Use another server which is not that critical. Let's say just something that is not that critical for you. But also, it's possible to use on domain controllers. Okay, so test.lab port. By default, it's 5007. I recommend to use for NTLM authentication as well. Okay, next step, go to here, so UA2 ad2.test.lab, also 5007. So it's better to have a redundancy, so you will not have only one server, and just imagine that all your policy will not be working just because something happened with your single user ID agent. So I really not recommend that. So always have redundancy. Okay, so when you have configured user identification agent and it's installed there, and you have and port 5000 TCP 5007 is allowed. So the next step, what you will need to do, you need to press commit, and these circles should become green. If they are not green, if they are red, that means that there is a communication issue. Maybe there is a personal firewall installed, host intrusion prevention system, or anything else. Please check that and allow it access. And then you will see that they will turn green. If you do not see under monitoring tab on the user agent on that server that there is no user to IP mapping, check if the user under which name that service is running has access to the log files on the server. So I would suggest that it's better to use administrator account for that, but if it's not possible, you will have to tune it with your sysadmin. Okay, that's done. Press commit, and this part is done, so you will see that user agent is working. So next step you will need to do is to go to policies and create a policy. And let's say test UA from source any destination. So it's from untrust application any. Yeah, let's allow that loose rule. And here we're going to tab user. And when we press add, you should see the list of all your Active Directory groups. Not here because for security reasons I cannot do that on the actual system. So here you will see in your case all the different user groups. So let's say you will be able to configure the rule that allows traffic for test/users. And that's all. Press commit again. Sorry, let's put it on top. Okay, press commit, and the traffic will hit this rule. In description, I put some troubleshooting tips and comments on what you need to do to verify if user agent is really working for you, and the firewall can see um, user to IP mapping. Thank you. That's all. If you have any question, let me know. And I didn't ask you before, but please mark if you like it and ask more questions. Put comments just to tell to everyone that this channel, you like this channel, and it's really important for you. Thank you for your help. Thank you for your ideas, and all the best with Palo Alto.